In this demonstration, you're going to learn how to create a software RAID on a Windows machine. My machine has a few hard drives, and we're going to go ahead and use the Windows Disk Management tool to set up two different RAID systems on it. Now, one is going to be a RAID 0, which is going to provide us with more speed and performance by splitting the data being read and write into two separate drives on two different disks. Now, each disk is going to get half of the data. This means if I lose one of the drives, I'm going to lose all of the data. Now, on the other hand, I'm going to create a second RAID. This is going to be a RAID 1, which allows us to have two hard disks operating in a mirror. So both disks are going to have exactly the same data on them. This means I'm not going to get the performance boost I get with a RAID 0, but I do get redundancy. So if one disk fails, the other disk is still going to be maintaining a fully online and ready to use copy of all of the data and information. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the lab, and let me show you how to create these two types of RAIDs. So on this Windows 10 machine, I currently have a C drive with the operating system installed, and I have 4 blank disks that have been installed. Let me go ahead and go to my disk management, and inside my disk management under computer management, you will see that I have 4 disks that are brand new. I'm going to go ahead and initialize those. Now that I've initialized them, I have these 4 unallocated disks sitting here at the bottom, and my current C drive. So what I want to do is I want to create 2 different RAIDs. I'm going to create one for video editing, which means I want performance over redundancy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on my first disk and go to New Striped Volume, because I'm going to stripe across disk 1 and disk 2 to make my RAID 0 to give me that performance I want. As I walk through the wizard, I'm going to add the second disk to it. So I have disk 1 and disk 2. Then I'm going to go down to Next. I'm going to give it a drive letter. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and call it drive D. Hit Next. I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to call it editing because I'm going to use it for video editing. And then I'll hit Next. And then we'll finish. And we'll say yes. And off it goes. I now have drive D, which is 1.57 terabytes. And I have 100% free because I have 2 800 gigabyte drives working in tandem to give me that one logical drive, drive D. But if either of those disks fails, drive D will be gone. Now, let's go ahead and create a redundant drive, which is going to be drive 3 and 4. I'm going to add them together as a mirrored volume. Now, when I add both of those in, I'm going to get 2 disks, but I'm only going to get 1 disk's worth of space. And I'm going to call this R for redundancy. And so over here for R, I'm going to call it redundant. And we'll go ahead and format it. And notice I now have this redundant drive, which is called drive R. And drive R is a mirrored drive. It is going to be dynamic. And you'll notice that it only has a capacity size of 1 of those drives because one is acting as primary and one is acting as backup, where both of them have the exact same information. And if either of them goes offline, the other drive will still take over. That gives me my fault tolerance, and that creates a 50% overhead or a loss of 1 drive's worth of space. But that's the sacrifice. Do you want performance and double the space? Or do you want redundancy and half the space? That's the choice that we're making here. Now, in my case, I chose both. I wanted one drive as my scratch drive for all my video editing, and I wanted my redundant drive to be where I store the finished product, and it gives me that redundancy that I was looking for.